Now I'd like you to consider this from the Roman perspective. Eating was very different. They didn't think about it as worship. That was the Jewish thing. But what they did think about was eating was the primary social activity of your life. Not just of your day or your week, but the life that you led. As we've discussed in this class, Romans didn't allow public gatherings. Because what were you going to do in a public gathering? Maybe they'll conspire against the government. But they did allow private gatherings, so long as they were really private. And the primary way you would gather was over food. And in fact, it was even more important than that. The whole patronage system in the Roman Empire was built on what are called guest-friend relationships. That is, that there was no social structure, there was no police department, there was no fire department. Instead, you protected what was yours by who your friends were. And that relationship was a contractual relationship. It was the idea that I can go to your house, if you're my guest friend, I can go to your house and you will open the door, let me in, and protect me without asking any questions at all. And sometimes you were the superior, sometimes you were the inferior, but that was the model. This was a deeply important relationship, these guest friends. And the way that it was practiced was through dinner, through shared meals. And the shared meals they had were different from our meals, where we sit at a table and we kind of are almost like at an office chair sometimes when we're eating and talking. Their tables were very low to the ground, and they would recline in couches. And so they're basically lying down next to one another. And in this, there was a structure of leisure, even just for that brief period. Remember, this is a world where there is no day off. Everyone worked every day. And so leisure was not something that people had. So if you were meeting for a meal, though, everyone has to eat. And we are willing to spend the time to foster those guest-friend relationships, because that's how our entire society works. So eating together is how we have relationships at all. And what's more, at those dinners, you didn't just eat. You would talk, you would discuss, but you'd also contemplate a particular topic. Sometimes it was philosophy, but sometimes it was a recitation of a text. Maybe someone would read a text, would have a scroll there and actually read something out. People would listen and then talk about it. Other times, the person leading it didn't have a text, but they recited a text. We call it a reading event. Most people can't read, but they can hear a text, they can talk about it, they can contemplate. This is how they grew in relationship to one another and into new texts and new ideas. This was a regular activity people would do together. And so eating in the Roman Empire, dining together, was not just about sharing some meals and having hospitality. It was about saying, you can come and be part of who we are in our very closest space, our domus, our home. And we are that tight-knit of a group. You could show up at any time and you're welcome. You're basically part of the family. And so that's the gravity of what eating together means in the Roman Empire. And I'd like you all to spend a little time discussing that.